Hey. Welcome to the Shine Your Light podcast. I am your host, LaChelle Hooks. Woo, woo, woo. Can I get a hand clap? Oh, I love this. I love this participation. A live hand clap, y'all. And of course, I'm joined here by my beautiful co-host. We have Simone in the building. Thank you for joining us, Queen.
Simone.
Yeah, she's a part of the Shine Your Light crew. Yes, and we've got some questions for these amazing, powerful guests that we have here today. I'm going to introduce one of our main guests. We got the CEO of Clippers and Cuts. We got tennis. Did I say tennis Lord? Won't he do it?
Clippers and Cuts. It's
Clippers and Cots. Clippers and Cots. Don't mind the nerves, Lord.
No, it's all right.
Yes, but we have the CEO of Clippers and Cops. We have the amazing Ty Dennis in the building, CEO of this nonprofit organization. I'm so happy for you to be here. I'm honored for you to be here.
Thanks,
And
man.
we got a lot to talk about today. Can
Let's
you
go.
introduce your amazing team that you have surrounding us?
All right. Well, first off, I'm Ty Dennis.
There we go.
I am the CEO and founder of Clippers and Cops. To my left is Dante Booker, a
Yes.
friend of mine. He's a current Atlanta police officer.
Yes.
To my right is Kim Underwood. She's a retired Atlanta police gang detective. We worked in the gang
Wow.
unit together.
Wow.
To her right is Oric Curry, aka OG. He's a retired Atlanta police gang detective as well. In the cut, we have Michael Seiden, aka White Mike. We have another Mike, light skinned Mike, Michael Carter. He's not with us today.
Okay.
Maurice Sweeney, aka Reese. He's a radio personality. He's our current host. He's our moderator. He's our hype man. He's everything.
Woo-woo.
We also have Ruben Houston, aka Rico Ritchie. He's in the hallway. He just stepped out. We have three other people: Andre Lowe, Tyrone Finney, and then Michael Carter. And then usually we have our own videographer, Precious.
Wow.
And so that pretty much makes up. And I forgot Patricia Gardner. She's been helping out with us as well.
Shout out.
And so we basically have added people as the need. We saw the need in different aspects. Like adding Kim, we would get females or girls asking questions that we felt that she would be better suited for. But when I first created the program or thought of it, everybody laughed. I was eating a bag of Doritos on my couch. And I was just thinking about when I go get my hair cut, everybody had an equal voice. And everybody didn't necessarily know I was a cop. And so from that, I thought, if we can talk about all this nonsense that we talk about while getting our hair done, why can't we talk about citizen and police engagement?
Yeah.
And so I started thinking of people. First person I kind of thought of was Reese, because Reese and I met playing basketball. He didn't know I was a cop. And then I knew what he does with the community, Positive American Youth. He has his own nonprofit, and he does a lot of community events. And so I'm like, okay, I need somebody to keep the peace.
Yes.
And kind of keep it light when need be. So Reese came up. Booker and I, we worked extra jobs together. We always together, and he's very boisterous. One of those people like to debate politics and different things online. So I'm like, oh, he would be perfect.
That's what it is.
And so we grabbed him. And then after we had the first one, Curry kind of started coming regularly and made himself. And he was perfect because he worked in my unit, and he's a master instructor at the police academy training the officers. And so he's able to provide the insight about training, traffic stops, so forth and so on. After we got started, people came, went. White Mike came from another news reporter that I knew. And
so it was a lot going on, and he, saw what y'all was doing, and he said, "I want to get involved."
After we did the first one in Atlanta.
I'm sweating too. Go ahead,
Ty. In March of 2018, and after we did the first one, initially I was going to just make it all men.
Okay.
We had First 48 was still in Atlanta filming, so we brought them out to record it. They gave us little snippets. We started posting videos.
Wow.
We started getting nothing but positive feedback. Well, I get an email from a single parent mom that was like, hey, my son needs to be in that room. And so I'm like, man, we can't really exclude her. So we didn't want to open it up. I don't want to open it up to the public right away because I didn't want it to be arguing. Right. And that's how I'm like, man, we're going to be in there arguing. I'm going to fight and stuff. So we opened it up slowly. And then once we opened it up to her, we started opening it up to women. And then eventually we did open it up to the public. And we did have activists come. And we did argue. But it became an empathy type thing where
Yeah.
we were able to empathize with each other. Like
Yes.
we fighting the same battle. When you're
Right.
saying Black Lives Matter, we have Black lives. Our kids are Black. So whatever you fight for is helping our people. Same as me wearing a badge trying to represent as an officer, not only an officer, but a Black officer. These are my people as well.
Right.
And once we had that understanding, it became a beautiful thing. People don't even know. One of my activist friends during the George Floyd protest, I talk to him every day.
Wow.
And one day he said, man, you go to therapy? I'm like, what I need therapy for?
Mm-hmm.
He said, all the stuff that you didn't solve the last couple of days. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no. He said, man, I got a session. Why don't you take my session today?
Okay.
And I went, and the therapist wrote me a check because people don't know that this program even exists.
Right.
And once they learn that it exists, they are shocked. And so as we've been doing it, me and Kim was partners in our gang unit. We've worked cases together. I know how she is. She know how I am. And I know her backstory where she's one of the realest females that I know. And her story is very important to be able to tell young ladies because her own background, where she started, where she's been through, and where she's going.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like I was saying with White Mike, another news reporter was like, hey, they kind of swapped spots. He came from Miami to Atlanta and then so forth. And so she was like, hey, I need you to meet this guy. He took me to lunch. We talked. He's like, I'm like, what you doing tonight? We got Clippers and Cops. You need to come in. We in the hood, Campbellton Road of Atlanta.
Right.
And when he walked in, the records, what is this? And from it, he was able to hear the cries of the community. It helps him. He'll tell you for himself. It helps him understand our people because now he has access to be able to hear that. And so basically, Clippers and Cops, we've been doing this ever since, every month. Right. Once a month. We usually do it every third Thursday of the month. Once we started doing it in the barbershops, at first we used to struggle to find a barbershop. Now we have to kind of do a lottery almost because everybody wants to.
Why was it a struggle initially? I'm so surprised.
Because people didn't know exactly what it was. And then it's like when you say the police, they like, I don't want to be associated with the police.
And they don't want to get in trouble.
Correct. And then once they
basically where they're located.
Right.
Basically where they're located and their clientele.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they see a bunch of officers.
There's a lot of mistrust.
Yeah. They like, oh,
they don't know
yeah,
what
you tripping.
So what changed it?
Seeing the videos and seeing us out there and seeing what we're about
and seeing themselves in you. I think a lot of that, just that representation.
And that's the thing, because even as we did it, we also brought out the shoot don't shoot simulator.
Right.
A lot of people, when we have officer involved shootings, a lot of people would say, well, they should have shot him in the leg, or they should have did that. And we're not preaching saying every officer is right or anything under the sun. But in a lot of situations, it's like it's a judgment to call. They're making a split-second decision. And so we were able to give people the opportunity, try it for yourself.
Right, gain an understanding.
And that's the whole thing with it.
Yeah.
And like, this isn't just for the police to teach the people.
Right.
We've learned from the people, because at the same time, we used to always say, well, I'm just trying to make it home to my family. And somebody was like, I'm trying to make it home to my family too.
Amen.
So what makes your family more important than mine? And that made us have to think. Then we used to say, we trying to bridge the gap. And then somebody said, well, a bridge can be broke. And so we trying to fill that gap. We trying to learn from the past to try to better the future, not keep doing the same thing.
I just want to thank y'all really quick. I know we always thank y'all. Everybody thank y'all. But the fact that y'all were, being police officers, dealing with gangs, a lot of people in those fields, they get tired. They don't retire and then come back and help the community and come back and make deposits into the community. A lot of them don't do that. They wash their hands and they walk away. You're taking every experience that you've had, everything that you've learned, and you brought it back to the community and just brought awareness and, all of that good stuff. So I just want to thank y'all for that, because without the efforts, like, we're never gonna get to the solution if somebody don't start trying something. And I'm not gonna fib to y'all. When I see them sirens, there's a little anxiety there because of what we've been conditioned, to believe.
Right.
So now the way that I see it is y'all are humanizing police officers to the youth again.
Right.
You're making them right.
You'll be shocked at how many kids step up after. So when we started doing campus invasion, you'll be shocked at how many kids afterwards A, ask us about being police.
Yeah.
B, follow us on our social media. C, inbox us and say, thank you for coming. Thank you for telling me that. My friends are not going to, they writing testimonials telling about, like, man, that's something I never heard. My friends have lied to me, different things like that, where we're using our playbooks of what we've experienced to try to share it, to try to do something different.
Now, campus and go ahead, sir.
No, it was just basically I was going to say how they felt when they were, quote unquote, made to come sit down and listen to a bunch of police officers, how they felt in the beginning, as opposed to how they left.
Right.
And it's a testament to us being able to connect and keeping it real. We try to just be as authentic as we can and, talk about things that matter to them.
Yes.
We meet them where they are. We're not trying to necessarily bring them to where we are.
We ain't trying to talk at them. We're trying to talk to them.
Just
Absolutely.
the same way a negative interaction with the police can traumatize a child, a positive one, it can impact them for their entire life, and how they interact with police in the future.
Correct.
So this is so needed. How I know that campus invasion is like, that came later, right?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
For me, I came on Atlanta Police Department in 2004.
Okay.
And the moment I came in, I was volunteering, going to talk to kids the time I've been there. What happened was a lady that worked with me named Kim Jones, she worked in public affairs, and we were friends on Facebook. So when I would go to talk to kids, I would post pictures. She was like, hey, what is this? Hey, we need to be a part of that.
Yes.
And so it became where it started growing. And when we started doing Clippers and Cops at the barbershop, it was older people. One mom might bring one kid, but it wasn't a lot of kids. Right. And so since they weren't coming to us, we decided to go to them. Mm-hmm. And so I'm the king of PowerPoints. So I thought of different topics, and we try to grab slides off social media and different topics to basically engage them. It's partly entertainment, but we're educating them, talking about stuff they want to talk about. Like we might dissect a rap song. And with the rap song, we going through the lyrics. Yeah, you hear Sexy Red and you love the song, but what is she saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When Pooh Shiesty say, get it back in blood, what is he truly saying?
Yeah,
and once you break that down for the kids, some of the kids aren't realizing what they are. That's
speaking over their lives.
Correct. And we honor and value our entertainers, not knowing that when we speak about trap music, like what does that mean to be in a trap?
Right.
And so we try to dissect that, and we share our own personal experiences. Like for myself, I was expelled from high school myself.
Okay.
But at the same time, my office right now as the school safety director is that same office.
Right.
And so don't think I just woke up perfect. Don't think I woke up like this. I've had trials and tribulations. What are you goal setting? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 2 year, 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
And I love that because you're an example of what can happen. If you do go have that trouble as a teenager, you can change it. Your life is not over.
If you see the story that we just had, shout out to Caden Weeks.
I was actually going to ask you about that testimonial, young high schooler in Atlanta. If you can just share that with us.
So his mom, he gets arrested.
Yes.
By our gang unit.
Facing
We're gone.
20 years. Oh, by you guys.
No, it wasn't by us. It was by someone from our old unit.
Okay.
We knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
Our old sergeant, Sergeant Taylor Lee, she went to church with his mom's sister. She reaches out and was like, hey, I need you to meet this kid. And I'm like, well, I'm in town for Clippers and Cops. Bring him by. Mm-hmm. He's 17, 18 years old. When he comes by, he's a teenager. So he's like, I don't want to be here.
Yes.
And so when I looked, I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, man, I don't want to be here with all these cops.
See, that's what I love. You asked him an inquiring question. You didn't, just automatically go off of what he was giving you, which a lot of,
teens.
Yes. I know a lot of adults do to teens.
Right.
You showed him that you cared, and that's what allows the youth to kind of open up more.
And I think a lot of adults forget that everybody has a past. Nobody woke up perfect. If you go through, that's why when they talked about releasing the Freaknik video,
I ain't nobody got time.
But I'm just saying, you saw the point I'm making is, well, what I'm saying is, you saw a lot of adults that are now esteemed fighting to, hey, we don't need that release. I am the mother of this. Why? Because everybody has a past.
Right.
We're trying to show these kids that it's all right to fall down, but you have to get back up.
Yes.
If we keep telling everybody to go to college, be perfect,
Right.
how do they know how to get back up?
Right.
And so with Caden, the reason that he became awesome was when that day we were talking about holding the parents accountable. Yeah. And I liked him because he spoke up for his mom. He said, my mama taught me better. Right. And I'm like, oh, he got accountability.
Yeah.
And so afterwards we talked, we exchanged numbers, and we stayed in touch.
Yeah.
And everybody, when he needed something, everybody on the team paid what he needed, $20, whatever it is. Over the course of a year, he was able to take extra courses so he could graduate on time. He started performing in the church drama program. He started running cross country. They broke the 4x800 relay record. He was part of the homecoming court. All of these different things by just simple us trying to hold him accountable. He, like I told him, we can't live for you. You got to do it yourself. But I told him, if you do what you're supposed to do, I know enough people at the DA's office that we can work on trying to get those charges dismissed. The charges was dismissed 2 months before. But I didn't tell him because I didn't want him to resort back.
Right.
And he would call me like, what's up with big bro? What's up with the case? Right. I'm laughing on the inside because I'm sitting there like, he's still stressing about this and don't even know it's already taken care of. Yeah. And at graduation, Jerika Duncan with CBS Evening News, I met her through a colleague in New York. And you know how you meet people. I was like, she was like, what's Clippers and Cops? I'm telling her. She's like, oh, I need to do a story. A year later, when she comes back, I said, you got to meet Caden. And that's how the story transpired. Wow. Everybody watched the story, is in tears. We had over 1,000 hits on our page within the hour from all over the world. Like, people are saying, this is what we need more of that.
Yes.
Not arresting. We can't arrest our way out of the problem. A lot of these kids that are getting arrested, they're not getting arrested forever. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And when they come back, what type of skills they have? One of the teachers called us dunkles. I said, what's a dunkle?
It's a dad uncle.
Daddy uncle. She said, y'all are the daddy uncles.
Yes, and they need that. They crave it. They don't want to just get whoopings, Lord. They want to get direction.
Who cried the hardest, Ty?
Who?
Who cried the hardest?
Ty, you was over there balling.
I was definitely crying. I cried when he walked out like he was my own kid.
When
I was crying.
You see the results of your hard work, you can't help but to feel that way. Yes. But just consider.
I was trying to get my thoughts together. I know you ain't talking. You was over there blue.
But just consider, how many more. Just consider how many more will be impacted. I always say, when God gives you a purpose, when He places certain things in your life, sometimes you have to consider, even if you're afraid to do it, if you're not sure how it's going to go, sometimes you got to consider, who is it going to hurt if I don't do it? Right. You know what I'm saying? If you never did this, go ahead, Queen.
I believe it goes against like the scared straight mentality, right? Because growing up, although I was very sheltered, I had a lot of cousins who did get into stuff and who would look at me like, I wish I had somebody to ask me where I was at 3:00 or 4:00. I wish I had someone to keep me, hold me accountable. But at the same time, for you guys to mix that mentality and being cops, it kind of trashes the whole, okay, well, but if it's a cop, they're just going to yell at me. They're just going to sergeant me. They're just going to, and you have those people who have a rebellious mindset already. Right. So all you're really doing is feeding into the rebellious mindset to go against you regardless, versus coming to them like the uncle, coming to them like the dad, coming to them like someone who really cares about them.
I care and we all care. And of course, it's like, I'm the leader of the ship, so I get all but please believe this ain't a one-man show.
I see.
And that's the part that I like to make sure everybody understand, because although they sitting back there, they not saying nothing, they play major roles in everything that we do. And I think as we move forward, we've been at this now 6 years.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Can we get a hand clap? Yes. But the thing about it is, everybody that's watching it grow. And grow and continue to grow. Yes. The fact that we are in Milwaukee. We're not from here.
Y'all got a lot of controversy when y'all came here.
We did?
Y'all, you don't think so, last?
Well, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
So I interviewed the beautiful Tanine Rucker. Thank you so much for being here. She's the background queen. She partnered with Ty to bring them here to Milwaukee. So thank you for that. But when I interviewed her last year about the event, which we're about to go over the details, there was a lot of questions as to why I kept getting that. Why they here?
Right.
For what? Why they here?
And we didn't know what we walked into. Yeah. Like, we didn't know. Like, we just shout out to Tori Lowe.
Yeah.
Because when we went on the show, that was one of the things. We didn't know that Milwaukee is considered one of the most segregated cities in the country. We didn't know that.
Yeah.
But our message doesn't change, because at the end of the day,
powerful.
It doesn't. It don't matter where we go. Anywhere we go, we're teaching the same thing. Accountability, empathy, and education. Why? The police wasn't created by us or for us, but we can't continue to ride that narrative. Right. And we have to be able to hold those police that are police accountable and teach our people how to hold them accountable. If everybody keeps saying, well, that's just the way it is and that's the way it's going to be, nothing will never change.
Right. Yeah, but we also wanted to, let them know that they have opportunity to be police officers, because a lot of times they don't see role models as police officers in some cases. And so we want to say, hey, we're just like you. We're police officers, and to say you can come from your own community. Sometimes most of us went to Atlanta and policing from different, except for Kim, because she's from Georgia. But the thing of it is, we want them to say, I could be a police officer. And I think the benefit of it is having someone who has a positive mindset, but I also see that there's problems inside the police department here, and we have our own problems as well. So no police department is not prone from having problems or issues that goes on inside that department. We have situations that police officers get arrested, just like other places have police officers get arrested. So we are human too. We make mistakes, but what type of mistakes are we making? And is that type of mistake costing somebody's life, or a Sonia Massey type situation where any police officer looked at that would have been like, I don't know what happened. We can't even come up with an explanation for that, because that was just straight, murder, and call it as it is, because it wasn't justifiable. And the department moved very swiftly, but you have to look at the aftermath of that. Right. How many other departments did he go to before he got to that department, before he caused so it's going to cause a ripple effect, because anybody that made a complaint now has the ability, if they got charged, to go back and dispute anything that took place. And that's going to cause other departments to go back and look at themselves and see what their problem was. So there's always a ripple effect behind somebody's action, but does it always have to cost somebody's life to have that ripple effect happen? And being in training, that's the first thing that they do. When they go back, they look at your training record. How were you taught? Who trained you? Even us, I was an instructor. We sometimes have to go testify on how did we train that police officer? And we have to go back and look at those records. Everything is documented. And I think that's one of the things that you have to look at. And like I said it previously when we was at the radio show, we got to, if we want things to change in our community, we got to be a part of the community. Yes. We got to be active in our community. We can't expect the police to do everything. But like I told the lady, I told her, I said, sometimes we got to take, they said, well, we come in the community, police come in the community, they come to us, we don't need to go to them. Oh, yes, you can. You can do that. Right. You can go to the police department and say, hey, I want you to see my son. Right. I want you to see if something goes on, here is my number, give me a call. Because if you see something, he's doing something he shouldn't be doing, let me know. I'll deal with that. Yeah. Yes. So we gotta look at what we're putting out there, and then what we're giving back. And that's how we have to do it in law enforcement.
And a lot of parents kind of look at the officers, to be real, as they trying to lock up my baby. We're not gonna go, but what y'all are presenting, the characters that y'all are presenting, I just see it multiplying. I see y'all partnering with more and more multiplying, and that when you're that good entity, you're gonna shine a light on the bad ones.
Right. It's
So-
gonna make it
so
hard for
even-
the bad
Yes.
to hide.
So,
Yes.
so even that we're talking about the good and the bad, I want you to expound a little bit more on the pushback that you said
So
happened from our visit.
these are all, I was getting questions primarily about, again, why are y'all here, what they here for. Nothing's gonna change, but again, these same people will come with the complaints of what does need to be changed.
Right.
These same people won't have any solutions,
Right.
or even ideas for things that we can do to implement just betterment.
Do you know how we got here?
So listen to somebody that's giving you options. Listen to them, partner with them. If you feel like you can add value to it, add value to it.
And
How you get here?
So how we get here? I was at a conference in Savannah, Georgia, a teacher
Okay.
conference, and presented
Okay.
and met Miss Arletta Slaughter.
Yes.
And
yes.
so Arletta wasn't in the presentation.
Okay.
The other teachers that was in the presentation
Okay.
was like, hey, Clippers and Cops, you need to see their presentation.
Yeah.
When somebody say that, you're like, oh, okay, cool. She happened to be on my flight.
Right.
And we had connecting flights. We both were going to Nashville. She was coming here. I was going to St. Louis.
Yeah.
And the whole flight, I was able to show her videos and all the different stuff. She was like, I got to get y'all to Milwaukee. People say that all the time.
Right.
People say, we need you here.
Right.
Unfortunately, we got families, we got jobs. It's hard to get us here, right?
Yeah.
It takes funding to do that.
Yes.
She made it happen. And when we came, we went to Cyber High School and somewhere else.
Okay.
Rolled out the red carpet. We went to Carnivore. They had our logo in the menu.
Beautiful.
Like it was just a beautiful thing. Once we went to see Tory Lowe was like, oh, I'm an activist. I ain't never had the police up here. I'm about to give it to y'all. And we told them the same thing.
Yes.
Yes and no,
Right.
because we're not your typical what you may think cops are.
Yeah.
You can say and ask us whatever you like, but are you prepared for what we may have to say back? And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people are used to saying what they want to the police, and a lot of the police just sit there and take it.
Uniform, very robotic.
Correct. And that's what he's always speak about, being
Yeah,
robotic. It's almost like textbook. It's just like when there's a shooting or officer involved shooting. The subject became combative and forcing the officer to fire a service weapon, leaving the subject deceased. There's going to be a thorough investigation moving forward from there.
Right.
Sounds very routine.
Right.
Most people want to know the facts. Nah, what really happened? Well, what happened is, look, Junior did blah, 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 whatever. And usually when you break it down like that, more people feel like you're being more transparent.
Right.
And that's one of the things. But it's two sides of that coin, because from a leadership standpoint, you can't release too much information because you could compromise the investigation.
And that's one of the biggest problems that you deal with these, everybody is a reporter type of deal when everybody has cameras and
Phones out.
they'll video the whole situation and only put a small piece of that puzzle
Paint
out to the
narrative.
public or put it on social media. Then you get everybody in an uproar and they're like, well, okay, after 6 months to a year, the case finally goes to trial and then the officer gets off. Now the public is outraged, but then they come to find out that there was so much more to the clip, to that
Right.
small clip that they saw, that, yeah, he was absolutely innocent. And then that's where, you got to be careful. You got
So
to
do your research.
You
before
have to,
react.
I mean, it's
Right.
sometimes that information, just like he said, it's not available.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some things they have to be kept, in-house in order to not compromise a case. So not everything is going to be released.
So my controversial question.
Go,
Uh-oh,
y'all.
there she go.
Come on with it.
There she go.
Y'all said y'all was gonna answer my
Come
question.
on with it. She's
Okay.
saying it with dimples. I love
My
it.
question is, during the Black Lives Matter movement,
Mm-hmm.
the George Floyd movement,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that was happening across the world during that time, right?
Mhm.
How did that impact y'all company as a whole, y'all organization as a whole, and what did y'all do to get involved?
You want me to answer? Go ahead. Go ahead. I can answer.
Well, you can, but locally, like he was still there. We were all still there. We were actually traumatized ourselves. Like you said, the Black community, we Black. So we experienced trauma watching that video just like
Yes.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were on 12-hour shift with no off days because of the actual riots and the protests.
2 weeks afterwards, we had the Rayshard Brooks incident at Wendy's.
Yes.
And so in Atlanta, you said, how did it affect our company? It took, although we've made progress in what we do with 5 steps forward, it took us 10 steps back.
It did.
Because although people respect what we do and respect who we are, we still represent the badge. And so it's almost like we were grouped in with them.
Yes.
And for people, every time there's an officer involved shooting incident, my social media goes, so Ty, good shoot, bad shoot, what you think?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like I got to reestablish, forget all the work I done did over the last 20 years. I got to let everybody know I'm standing with the brothers. This is the way I feel almost. And I'm cool with that because for me, right is right and wrong is wrong. And I stand by that.
And we spoke out.
Right. And I'm able to tell you how I felt.
And we weren't afraid. But then Atlanta is like a totally different beast than
from here.
Milwaukee.
Then here. That's what we're learning.
Like, I grew up in Atlanta and I'm the only one originally from Atlanta, even with the other guys over there. So I'm used to the diversity. I'm used to the majority Black police department. So what you guys experienced with segregation, we didn't. But even though we weren't a part of the, police brutality that we've seen across the nation, it still affected us because it still was the distrust in the police. And that's why we, like Ty said, he decided that we got to go and build trust. Like, we got to all hold hands and pray about this together. We can't one side can't solve this problem.
We've had ours too. We had the Katherine Johnson, the situation that happened on Neal Street. And that was something that was very sad. And it shut down our whole narcotics unit for a while because of that. And
a lot of mistrust.
A lot of mistrust that came with us. And we understand the people, and I'm looking at some of the comments that they're saying that they don't trust the police.
Right.
And we understand that. Because sometimes we're, when we get stopped, we like, oh Lord, who pulling us over?
Right.
And then we're watching.
We're still black.
Before anything.
Well, that's what. But see, and also during that time when people were saying Black Lives Matter, my life black too. Right. My kids are black. So whatever someone is fighting for as an activist, you're fighting for me too. It's not like I go home or I don't get some of the same things. Right. But in order to literally fight something, you need all hands on deck to understand. Yes. If you don't understand what you're fighting or understand why, you're only getting half of the equation. And so during that time, for me, I was a plainclothes detective in the protest. Right. I got to talk to people.
We all were.
I got to literally talk to people. And some of the kids and people were there just because it was cool, just because it was the hashtag. Right. But I was able to explain to them how to properly complain or how to be active in your community and get to know those cops in your community. This is your community. If a new officer is dropped in your community tomorrow, he don't know nobody. If you start your job tomorrow and you don't know nobody and everybody's saying F you, get the hell on, this, that, and the other, that can make you harden too. Where it's like, well, F me? Well, F you. Well, I pay your salary. I pay taxes too. You see what I'm saying? We have to try to do something different. If you, I'm not saying every officer is going to be welcoming. I don't know every officer. Some of them do. I want them to feel uncomfortable to be that way.
Right.
And it starts by being vocal with the people in that community. When we do Clippers and Cops, we get to meet the people in that community. You know me by name. I know you by name. So when I see you again, it's not no, hey, ma'am. It's like, hey, LaChelle, how you doing? Like, you see what I'm saying? You can't begin to study or if we got a championship game, we going to practice and then it's the game. Right. You can't show up on the day of the game on a homicide scene and then, hey, what's your name, ma'am? It's too late.
Right.
But also, I'm reading some of the comments because I pay very close attention to some of these comments that people are writing up here. And so, you're right. There are good police officers out here. Right, and I think it get overshadowed by a lot of the things that bad police officers do. We don't, police officers doing good thing in the community. They don't, sometimes the media don't report that. Right. Sometimes, and then we see the bad all the time. That's what we think. But there are some good police officers out there patrolling the streets, doing things, and making things happen.
They
And
said we being transparent. We don't trust the white police.
But no,
Let me tell you, there's some good white
let me
officers.
say something too. But yeah, like in Atlanta, it's mandatory. We have mandatory Georgia to keep our post certification up. We have mandatory training every year, and one of those trainings is cultural diversity.
Here we go.
Everybody has to go through it.
Yes.
Everybody has to pass it. It's a test at
It's
the
a
end.
test.
So whether you want to be, to see the other side, because it's really just showing you about different communities, different cultures, and
Yes.
stuff like that. Because like I said, I grew up in Black Atlanta.
Right.
So I didn't know a lot about white people. I didn't know a lot about Asians or Indians and that kind of stuff, but I had to learn just because I was there to serve everybody. I don't see just, I don't see race. I see everybody because that's how I was raised and that's how I grew up. But man, it's mandatory to do the culture about diversity and de-escalation. And that's what a lot of these departments don't do. Like listening to what you guys go through here in Milwaukee, it's like it's not a lot of cultural diversity. And it's not a lot of de-escalation, just looking at what's going on with these shootings around the nation, like that Sonia Massey. De-escalation. Nobody trained these cops on de-escalation.
Right.
And that's important.
And it's and when you get into when we answer a call, we don't know what that call gonna look like. But also they don't know what they getting either.
Right.
So when that police officer comes, it's two streets. Everybody's looking, okay, who's coming to my door?
Right.
And who's gonna open up that door? So we look at both sides, even on the traffic stop. No, we always say no traffic stop is routine because anything could go what you think would be the right thing, and sometimes it's not there. So you have to take each situation differently every time you approach a car and things, but you should always be on the bright side of it, but you don't really know what that officer had to deal with just on a previous call. And then when you, with maybe attitude, he was like, look, I just deal with this. I ain't got time to deal with you. And so it changes. And you was like, or you could be in a friendly manner and he could be abrupt.
Right.
Or she could be abrupt. He's like, well, what happened? So I think sometimes we have to look at on both sides of this,
Yes.
and we're human.
And we gotta talk about
That's
the
why,
person that said the white police, like, it is some good white police.
Yes.
It's good.
Right.
It's bad black police too.
Yeah.
But, so you can't
Yeah.
you can't put it on race. So I think like you said, even up here, if they talked more and got to know each other in the community, just like I said, I wasn't around a lot of white people, but once I got to APD and I got to work with them and I got to meet people like White Mike, who I love, like my own brother.
Yeah.
Hold on, we need
Then
him.
I'm just like,
It's true, though. It's true.
but that's
White
the
Mike,
thing though.
White Mike, we gotta bring White Mike on
At
so
the
they can see
same
White Mike.
time-
Come on, White Mike.
Come on, White. You got to be representation, Mike. Come on now.
Mike is representing for all the white people.
There we go.
Come on this
So-
side. Mike, Mike.
So I wanted to piggyback off of Curry real quick on
Welcome, Mike. Welcome.
when we talk to kids and adults about do's and don'ts on traffic stops. So we do mock scenarios, and
Yes.
we want people to understand that
Yes.
we want you to understand your rights. But what I always talk about is the main goal in that situation is for both parties. No, for both parties, for the officer and for that citizen, should be to make it home to their family.
right.
Okay, so in situations we see, you never know what I've dealt with, and I don't know what you've dealt with all day. Check your attitude, and hopefully, as an officer, we can check ours. Because if you give me, then I'm gonna give you. You know what I'm saying? And then we're always taught to go a step above. Just keep in mind, whatever court is court. That traffic stop, take your little citation. It doesn't mean you're guilty. Only a judge can do that. Only a judge can decide that. So there's no point in trying to have court with that officer on that scene. Your goal is to make it home to your family, because we've often seen what we would call routine traffic stops turn into a life or death situation because of an attitude, a lack of de-escalation on our part, and then it turns into a situation where somebody pulling out a gun.
Something that was
And
avoidable.
it's absolutely avoidable. So it's like keeping in mind what the main goal is. Every time you leave your house and every time we leave our house, our number one goal is to make it back to our families.
When we go talk to the kids, What do you think the number one thing they say they're supposed to do when they get pulled over?
Yeah, that's a good.
I'm
That's
not-
a good.
yeah.
What do
What
you
you
think?
think?
With the
Nope.
hands on the wheel.
Nope.
Nope.
Keep
Keep
going.
Keep
Wait,
going.
Keep going. What else? What do you? These are. I'm talking about from the kids.
The kid.
You can come see it for yourself
In the
tomorrow
community.
in the community. What do you think they run?
Run.
There it is.
That's it.
Run.
That's
Yeah.
it.
There it
No,
is.
it had to be
Run.
That's what they tell us
Because
every
they
time.
run.
And they ain't gonna say it like that, Shawty. I'm out.
Achievable.
And it's one of those things where when the kids say that, we're trying to explain to them some stuff. Sometimes you're getting pulled over where some of the officers are, they might just be telling you your lights out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we try to educate them on what is the expectations.
Right.
Because if everybody telling you to run, and since you was
It's gonna be
5,
automatic.
well, since you was 5, you were taught F the police, that's the boogeyman. Guess what? When you become
Right.
16 and now I'm driving, guess what? That boogeyman is in my rearview mirror.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
And so
Yes, sir.
when you look at it,
Change the
running,
narrative.
but when you look at most of the situations, how do you combat
Check 'em.
that? Is educate yourself
Mhm.
on the laws, on how if I get pulled over, what do I need to do, and how do I need to do it? You want to search my car? No. If I know I ain't got nothing in there,
I like
you gonna do a search warrant. I'm gonna make you work.
Look,
I'm not gonna give
I
you
ain't read
that.
it. Let me jump. I like Jermaine.
Go on
I
and read
like,
it. Go
I
on
like
and
your
read it.
questions.
Yeah.
He said, "What do you do when your partners or somebody that you know is a butthole? You check them, but at the
Immediately.
same
Hold them
time,
accountable.
it's just
They
like
not
with
gonna
your
work around
kids. You have to check them and let them know that what they were doing was inappropriate. When I was on patrol, I had an officer. He had somebody, and once he saw us pull up, he started getting extra. And it was like, hey, don't do nothing you can't do by yourself just because you saw it, because I let them
Right.
get at you.
Mhm.
Also, people don't know that we've turned in officers ourselves. That don't
Mhm.
the public wants to see you walk in with
Boys
a
in
head
blue,
like,
right.
hey, I got one.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Right.
A lot of stuff happens in-house
Right.
that
The internal
internally
affairs.
is taken
The
care
internal
of.
affairs or
Yeah, they know
OPS.
in-house, but unfortunately, it's no system available for that to show the public. Like, I'm a good one. I turned one in. Like, it's nothing like that.
So since we brought White Mike in, since we all talk about media, we all talk about social media, and
Take
you
the
know
hat
since
off, man. They're not gonna notice you.
yeah, they're not gonna know who you are.
Reporting live is Michael's.
So his thing is when he had to go report or when he had to go and see somebody. So
That's
I was very. Go ahead. Keep
Go
going.
ahead. Sure, sure. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was a little intimidated when they all came.
Why?
But
Because we was big.
but
Fat shaming us.
because they're police officers. I was nervous. But
Regular people.
but I feel like I'm at a family barbecue. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how when we do when we,
Yeah.
we are
Here
definitely
we
gonna
go.
make the potato salad.
Here we go. Don't put no raisins in it.
We're
Don't
gonna
put
make
no raisins.
no raisins. No,
All right.
I'm gonna put meat in my
Right.
beans though.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna put meat in my beans.
So-
White Mike, you got to say something.
No, I talk. I'm not. I'm not.
you
Listen.
got the you
Oh.
got the right one today. You
Oh.
got the right
I
one.
got a lot to say. So first and foremost, thank you for having us. I
Pleasure.
appreciate it.
It's a
This is a great conversation. And
Yes, sir.
look, this didn't happen by mistake. And I'm trying to put this in Wisconsin terms. Like I grew up in equivalent, a suburb, probably like where Brookfield is to
Okay.
Milwaukee. So for your local.
I grew up in
people.
Cudahy.
So y'all, the locals get it, right? So I grew up in a community that was predominantly white,
Yes, sir.
a place where we saw police. We didn't run. We said, "Hey, sir, can I
Want
take,
some lemonade?
can I take a picture with you? You guys are our heroes,
I'm
right?"
from the projects though,
Right.
but from Chicago. But keep going.
So I would say number one, and Curry kind of touched on this. So I'd grown up in a suburb of Atlanta my whole life. But
Okay.
all these things that we talk about now, I had no clue. I'd only seen that in the movies, the music I listened
Wow.
to, things like that, because you're in your bubble. Most
Wow.
people grow up in their bubble,
There you go.
and you really don't go outside your bubble. And it doesn't matter if you live in an all black community, all white, Hispanic. I think just as humans, we are afraid of the unknown.
Yes.
That's just how it is, right?
Yeah.
So if we just stay in our little corner, that's all we're familiar
It's
with.
safe.
And then we get out, we have these preconceived notions of what life is.
Yeah.
So when I moved back to Atlanta in 2018, I'm reporting on crime. And the crime I'm reporting on is happening in predominantly black neighborhoods. So how can I be a credible reporter, go down in these neighborhoods, And yeah, okay, I can tell you, yeah, there's police tape over here, and there's, gunfire in this neighborhood. But like, how do I actually understand what's really going on in these communities?
Right.
Well, I need to shut my mouth, and I just need to take a seat and listen. And so through a mutual friend, I was introduced to Ty, and he welcomed me in. And that's the number one thing. I'll just tell you this right now. I'm not asking for any pity. Like, I made this decision. However, we were talking earlier today about this. When somebody comes in your community that doesn't look like you, don't just assume that they're like everybody else you've interacted with. Put out, extend an open hand.
Welcome.
Right? I mean, you just never know how. I mean, this is all family to me.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I sit here and I look at this and I go, we are so, whether it's social media, whether we're watching the news, we just have all these negative images that are just ingrained from the time we can pick up a smartphone. And
so powerful. Go ahead.
But, no, I'm sorry. I talk a lot, but the point I'm making is that like, at the end of the day, like, you can sit here and think what you want to think, but until you actually get out there and you make an effort, you're going to continue to think the same way. You're going to continue to act the same way. There's never going to be a change. And I think that people have to realize that there are people who don't look like you that actually give a damn about what's going on and want to help out.
Amen. Can we get a clap on that one?
Okay. However, how we use in this space, I can tell you the way I am today.
Yes, sir.
At my heart, I'm still the same person they met in 2018. But how I'm moving here is way different. And that's because I put in the work.
Yeah.
I didn't just come into the community and start saying, well, why is everybody running from everything?
That way.
Like, for example, the old self would maybe look at, and this is just how I'm brought up. You look at a convenience store, right? And you see a bunch of teenagers going there, ransack the place. You may think, you may say, man, these kids are bad news. But then you realize those kids don't have food at home.
There you go.
I'm not saying that means that they should go out there and
But
ransack.
look at the whole picture.
Point I'm saying is it's so much more nuanced.
Right.
It is.
The other thing is that people don't realize, I mean, when you go to a hip hop concert, a lot of times it's like 90% white. Like white people are like the biggest consumers of the culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I'm saying is there are people that care out
Yes.
there.
I love that.
And that's how I feel about it. Look, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're white, black, green, yellow, whatever your choice is. Like,
Yes,
if you're
sir.
a good person at your core, that's great.
Yes, sir.
And also, I like to learn. I like to learn about different cultures, different environments.
We
religion.
brought them to St. Louis. We brought them to St.
Yeah.
Louis.
Y'all done.
We took them to the hood spot.
I
He said
bet.
goodbye, white rice, hello, fried
but we also had to keep him in check because we love to wander. And so we have to like, dude,
we gotta
you
make
in
sure
the
you're
hood,
okay.
you
Yeah.
gotta stay with us. You can't just wander off by yourself, okay? Because they gonna say where you coming from, or they gonna hit you up. So we be like, look, he with us. Then move on over, come on over here,
Right.
so that they know that you with
But
us.
he got more juice in the hood
Yeah,
than
yeah.
most all of us. The kids remember him because of his name. Like on his
White
jersey,
Mike.
it
It's
say
a,
White Mike.
it's a oh yeah.
But-
yeah,
And they remember him from
the
seeing him on the
news.
news.
Yeah.
Like when he's on the news, he's more professional kind of. So it's almost like they remember him, and then once they see him now, they feel like they know him.
Oh my goodness, I love this, y'all, because it's such a powerful impact. Because you're right. If a person grows up in a small area all their lives, that's all they're gonna know. Just like you said, whether it's that white person in the white neighborhood or that little black boy or girl, that's in the hood.
Like me.
We ain't all in the hood, but all of y'all, going to those locations, you're now like, you're that new representation.
Yeah, but-
You're that new representation.
We're doing what he said. We're the ones that's extending our arms
Yes.
with the school. The kids
Yes.
weren't coming to us, so since they weren't coming to us, we go to them. And by us going to them,
Yes, sir.
that gives them the opportunity to see
Yes.
us different, view it different. I was just telling them, I started getting the QR codes from different police departments because you will be shocked how many dreadhead black boys that you might think would never want to be the police. They pull you to the side like, hey, you make that sound kind of cool. That's why it's like representation matters. And a lot of people think it doesn't. When you're able to think
On
about
both sides.
from all sides. Just think
There
about
you
it.
go.
Just think about what President Obama. I don't know at what point he thought he could be the president,
Yes, sir.
but just think what he before him. people probably thought he was crazy.
Yes, sir.
Anything is possible. For me, I didn't grow up wanting to be the police. This wasn't a lifelong dream. Nobody wanted to be the cop when we played cops and robbers as a kid. Right? Right? I didn't. It took a professor to pour into me like, hey, you ever thought about going into the FBI? The feds? Never. Right. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to begin to be able to share our backgrounds. We have to be willing to extend. It didn't cost me nothing to befriend him. I probably talked to him more than everybody.
Yeah. You can come to the barbecue. Go ahead.
You're invited to the cookout.
I still have not gotten my formal invite from him.
Somebody said you can come now.
He turning pink. He turning pink over there. Pink Mike.
Listen. I'll say one more thing though, and then I think the important thing is, and this isn't everything in life, I think we've gotten to this point where we are so divided that God forbid you're either left or right. You can't just meet in the middle. And I think we don't always have to agree with each other, but I think it's important that we can hear each other talk. And nowadays, because we're in this sound bite culture, it's like we take, for example, we've been going now for almost an hour, right? You could take a little 10-second bite from this and totally make social media go wild. And all of a sudden, somebody who is fair and listens could be turned into this major racist or vice. I mean, it's just, that's what's the crazy in this world we're living in. That's how crazy it's gotten now, that everything is so sensationalized and it's just these quick sound bites and we don't take everything in full context. And that's one of the biggest problems. But I think just to kind of put just to end my portion of this, I just want to say that throughout this whole experience, I mean, listen, I've been in neighborhoods where people who look like me wouldn't get out in the middle of the day. Right. And I think what you realize, especially when we work with the youth, which is amazing about this, is there are so many talented, brilliant kids who are just
tell them about King.
Yeah, we can get into that, but I'm just saying who just need a chance, an opportunity.
Yes.
And that to me, yeah, it's not even so much. I mean, we can get into race and economic opportunities, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, really what it comes down to is just pure opportunities. Yeah. What's being offered at one high school in one city is not being offered somewhere else. And to me, that seems unfair, especially when you're talking about public schools. So, I mean, not to get into that whole conversation, but a lot of these kids just need a chance. They need opportunity, someone to say for once, hey, you're really good at this. Like, you need to pursue it. And we've got a number of examples of kids we've helped out, which is, it's amazing to me to think, like, how do some of these kids not realize they have this talent? But their whole life they've been told, you're not shit. Excuse me.
Go for it.
I don't know if we can cuss her out.
Be real, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're not shit. Like, you're gonna be like your uncle. You're gonna be like this one, that one. You can't do anything.
Right.
The idea, like, a kid expresses himself, like, I want to go to college. They start laughing.
Yeah, as a child or a teenager, if you feel like nobody else cares, eventually you're gonna stop caring, regardless of how intelligent and smart you are. Right. So sometimes, yes, they just need that entity in their lives to show them something different.
When you see better, you do better, you want better. And at some point in every adult's life, somebody.
Yeah, Jermaine, no, he's a Channel 2 reporter. He didn't tell the
story. He's not a cop, he's a news reporter.
But he's a part of the Clippers Cops program.
Thank you, White Mike.
We gonna make you
White
tell Jermaine. We gonna make him think he a white cop though, just so he like it. Jermaine like it. But that's the whole thing with trying to King. So King is a student at what school we was at? Creekside.
No,
Creekside. We was at Creekside High in Atlanta, and some of the memes in our presentation, it allows for the kids. We get them up to speak. And of course, some of the kids are joking, like, I ain't getting up there. And so this kid, King, got up there. He has the deepest, he sounds like
Barry White.
No.
And doesn't even know it. James Earl Jones is who he sounds like.
If you can imagine them two merging together.
Right.
My son's voice is that, like, he's 17.
So when he gets up there to read, everybody was looking like, who is it? James Earl is in the building. And so we started talking to him about doing voiceover. He don't even know what that is. Mike took him to the news station, put him, I'm going to play a clip for y'all when we get a second. And when you hear his voice, you'll think he's a natural. And that's the thing. Like, what I'm saying is being able to show these kids something different. Even though we talk about police stuff too, that's what, when I say Clippers and Cops, we're more than just a barbershop. We're more like, we try to help out in all different facets of the word. Like whatever we can, if we need to be a mentor, if you need somebody to talk, a lot of these kids just don't have nobody to talk to or to bounce ideas off, or they haven't even heard what does goal setting means.
Right.
What do you see yourself in a year, 2 years, 5 years? Some of them ain't even thought that far.
Right.
And all we're trying to do is plant seeds so that they can start thinking along those lines.
Yes,
So-
I can see it continuing to grow.
Say something.
I was gonna say, so my other question that I wanted to know was
Controversial question.
my other question, because I just had, so I'm a retail manager, and one of my assistants, he signed up for the police force, which was really out the blue for me, at least. It was really out the blue, but he signed up for the police force. He went through his training. He went through all of the background and all of that. So he's getting ready to start. Do you guys have any programs for Black kids coming into the force
Yes.
to help them with this everyday
It's so
trauma?
funny that you just said that.
You have the best energy.
Because I can't help myself. It's like I be trying to get everything out in a time frame. In St. Louis, I started doing Clippers and Cops in St. Louis when I moved back in 20. My partner there, Donnie Walters, is a sergeant with St. Louis Police Department. He started the Ethical Society of Police, ESOP, in St. Louis. So in St. Louis, they have a white union and a black union. They had to do that because the blacks were getting overlooked for promotion. With ESOP, they do a pre-academy for any kids, but Black kids, because a lot of Black kids would want to be cops, but they didn't know about it's paramilitary. Mm-hmm. So you might have to put your dreads up, or you might have to hide your tattoos and different things like that. Through ESOP, they go through basically the academy before the academy to keep those Black kids from washing out, and therapy on whatever that you've been through. This is what you might be seeing. They're able to shadow officers before they even go through the academy. So when they get to the academy, they're rock stars.
And I think we also have a partnership agreement, with other. We have all types of partners. They call us barbershop, like you said. At first, we had to go into the barbershop, and we had to try to find them. Now we have a pool, and we have to go in. We have to do the raffle, like, okay, who we gonna go to this time? But then also going to the barbershops, we have to also vet the barbershops too, and because we got to make sure that we're there providing a service for them. Not to say that they say, "Oh, we protection by the cops." So we have situations where we have people that look like us, just like I'm from Tennessee, and the thing that happened in Memphis was very disheartening to me, where you saw the Black police officers, do a traffic stop and literally, kill another Black male, and that was so sad. And then your chief is there, and it's predominantly Black area, so it's sometimes that culture can get. It don't matter what color you are. Sometimes it don't have to say be white. It could be mixed, Hispanic, Black, other Black on Black in law enforcement. So I say that we should have accountability. And, in Atlanta, we have a citizen police
review board
and a citizen police academy.
Yeah.
So we
For
have,
the young kids.
we have, and
program too.
yeah, we have a connect program. So we have things that's there that they can come in, like you as a citizen want to see how the police operate. You can sign up for that program. They take your ride-alongs. You get to see some of the officers. You get to see the precincts. You get to do all of that. But then they also have a citizen review board for when police officers get in a situation. They would go before them. The citizen themselves can take a look at it and say, this might be something that needs to be escalated a little bit farther. So that gives them an ability to say, oh, we see what's going on. They have a stake in the game as well.
Oh no, this is my boy. Hey, Jermaine, shout you are our friend, and we will definitely scare your little brother. Bring him to wherever we are. I would love to meet. That's where Tanine come in. That Tanine got. It's our laundry list, but clippersandcops.org. We're gonna put it on there. Safe and Sound is one of the events. She has us everywhere. Shout out to Tanine. She gonna have to come tell you the address. We don't know our way around Milwaukee like that, but. So no, I put that up to play one of those. So
you wanted to play it on here?
I want you to. I want you.
Anyone?
Anyone.
She just want to hear his sound, hear the sound.
Cut it up. That's the Young King. No training, no nothing. Is it playing?
Oh, it's the Wi-Fi.
Oh, I got that bad service. I'm sorry.
No, I think
Y'all still got dial up
it's
down here? or
Wi-Fi
something?
anyway.
My bad.
Okay, quick.
Go ahead.
Love it. You got
You
it.
got a question?
Quick question. Okay, Miss Kim.
Mhm.
I've been waiting to get to you. Okay, because I'm so on the Shine Your Light show, I'm all for women. I'm all for holding women accountable. So my questions to you are for the lady cops. Do you guys have any training that is different from the men cops? Because I know as women, usually we get overlooked or we get told that we're weaker or we can't handle the situation. So as from the cop perspective, do you guys have any different training than men cops?
Nope. Every training is the same. The only thing I remember that was different in the police academy is when men had to do pull-ups. They just let us hang for so many seconds because we didn't have the upper body strength. But other than that, we had to run. We had to do the academic part, the physical part. We had to fight. We had to get in a ring and box. We have to get in a ring and wrestle to show that you can handle yourself on the street. So it's the same. You have to get pepper spray just like the men,
now.
right? Tase, just like men. So everything that men do at our department, women do.
And the goal
We
is
do it better.
the goal is just basically to teach you to just stay in the fight
Right.
until the cavalry arrive, because it might be a situation where she's on a call by herself and her backup
I've had that.
might be 2 or 3 minutes away.
Yeah.
But best believe if we hear a female's voice elevated on that radio, we're coming.
Yeah.
And we're coming with bad intentions, because we protect our women. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just something,
Yeah. I did have
we protect our women, and that's, big brother, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But if I heard her screaming on that radio, we coming.
And do you guys handle like the women citizens differently as well?
You can't.
Well, it's searching.
Searching.
them.
Searching. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that
the man-
part, yeah.
the
Well,
man
a
can't
woman
search
will
female.
hurt you quicker than
What?
a man. Like you would think, just like LaChelle is small, like
Yeah.
to me, if I take a lot of times as a man, you try to be like that's a female.
Oh yeah.
But some females
Man,
will
what?
knock your block off
Yeah.
where you gotta be like, you still have to kind of
Hey, don't let them you.
yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm not trying from a distance. If you saw that, you would think that big old cop ain't got to do all that.
Yeah.
I've had more incidents with females than bigger guys
Trying to
because
put a
most
female
bigger
in
guys
place.
understand like, all right, this is what he stands for. This is what it
So
is.
would that make you more on alert? Because I've been in situations before where I've gotten pulled over and sorry y'all, but I got tents on my windows and I used to work in Brookfield. So
You pull
I've
over.
been in a situation where I got pulled over in the neighborhood and like 4 cars pulled up behind me and scared the crap out of me.
Right.
So I've been in that type of situation. So do that make you more on guard because we're
Well,
women?
what
It
it
was
was,
a tent.
it was a
They don't
tent.
know what's
They're on
inside.
the tent, and then
Let me
first
guess,
of
you
all-
got a charger.
It's a tent.
I had a
Yeah, that's it. So,
No.
yeah, but the thing about it with the
If we
tent,
don't, it's the unknown.
but then you also got to look at what department in the area you in. Some departments ain't got nothing to do. So when you can 4 police officers for one little person,
You that
you be
action
like,
for all
you-
day.
you-
They ain't had
you-
no action all
they
day.
had nothing going on all day. They thought you was a suspicious vehicle. I don't know what. Okay, let me ask you a
What
question.
kind of tent?
What was the reason for them pulling you over? That's the
The
question.
That was why. They
The
said
tent.
The tent.
you look suspicious. That was why.
And
You
so
look-
basically,
they look
you were
suspicious so they can't
stereotyping.
see you.
Well, the car probably.
Well, if it's tent,
what kind of
if it's
car
a
do you
tent
have?
policy,
What kind
or
Nissan
if it's-
Rogue.
You had
Oh,
Oh,
what kind of car?
Right.
Nissan Rogue.
wow.
This is
Now-
see,
Hold on,
this
hold
is
on.
what regular
Let me give you
people
a-
go.
hold on.
Yep, go
Okay,
ahead.
they know. I'm sorry, y'all
Come
know.
on in,
Oh,
come
time.
on in.
When y'all get off-
Introduce yourself.
Hey,
Go
what's
ahead.
up, everybody? I'm Reese. I'm not the police.
He's a
I
regular
am.
citizen. Yep.
I
we
do
always-
radio.
Record longer than
Radio.
this table.
I'm at
he's the
Magic.
voice of Clippers and Cops.
Thank you. This brother pulled me in, and I'm Magic 107.5 in Atlanta. All right, so check this out. Y'all, when y'all get off work, y'all are not the police. Y'all are black, like everybody in here except Mike, right? But
Black too.
right, I mean, until we get pulled over. So I'm from Jersey. It's certain neighborhoods we knew when we drove through those neighborhoods. If we get pulled over by one car, 4 cars are coming. It's not like Atlanta. Like a lot of people say Atlanta's are not a real place. Y'all don't have it's crime out there too.
No, I'm
bro.
saying
It's just
we
a
can't
division.
use 4 cars to pull one over.
Right.
No, I
We too busy
feel you.
humping cars.
What I'm saying,
Right,
it's a division of the people and the police in certain areas.
Yes.
So, and it's also a very different landscape when it comes to the policing. So, a lot of those officers, they see a black person, they automatically assume the worst. They automatically assume it's something happening that is. I think it is. I love that I get to be a part of this because you get a different piece of diversity. Like you get a different outside. Because as much as y'all aren't cops when y'all get off, you still are. So people are gonna look at you a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna have a different perspective because you do the job. Right. So we're only coming from like this young lady said, she got pulled over by 4 people. She was nervous. You know what I mean? Last time I got pulled over, I got yanked out the car, thrown on the ground and everything, and I didn't commit one crime.
Did you have attitude? Like
Absolutely not. No, ma'am.
was the
When I
cause?
get
He
pulled
bruised
over,
easy. He bruised real
Right,
What's the
very
cause of
easy.
them
What kind of
throwing
car
you
were
out
you
of
in?
the
Well,
vehicle?
give them the backstory now.
don't do that.
It was
I do drive a scat pack. No, I was like, drive a chopper. That's part of the problem. But no, but seriously and honestly, it happens sometimes because they can do that, right? But what I learned
That
from
don't
them
make it
is
right.
I did
No.
no, it didn't. But what I did do, what I learned from Clippers and Cops was I made a complaint, and then I followed up with the complaint. And then my attorney, shout out Justin Miller, J. Miller Law, SMS trial attorney, he followed up and made a complaint. So you can do that. It was not my place to try to fight it on the side of the road because I probably would not be here to tell the story. When I get pulled over, I'm yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Would you
made it
like to
home.
see my license? No problem. It's already out before they get there because
Is
I'm
it
not
all right for you to
reaching for
record?
anything. Is it all right? It is. I learned that from Clippers and Cops. It's all right for me to
But do you
record.
record like this, or do you put the
This-
camera and
this
just let
what I
it do
do.
what it do?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me sit down real quick. Sorry,
Okay,
Cam.
Go ahead,
So
bro.
look, so this is what I'm saying. So yes, it's okay to record. I'm gonna go through all of like 5 things, the 5 top things I learned from Clippers and Cops, right? The first thing, if you get pulled over, you don't feel safe. Can you call the police on the police? Yes, you can. So if you get pulled over like that, right? And before they even get to the car, call 911 and be like, hey, I'm just being pulled over. I don't think I've done anything wrong. I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. You can do that. And they can send another unit. So now at least you have that recording. God forbid something happens, at least that's recorded. That's one thing I learned. The second thing I learned is on the side of the road is never the place to fight your case. I'm always yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. You need my license is out because one of the third part of that is I'm not reaching for anything. I'm not giving you a chance to think I got the wrong thing in my hand.
So
Now,
pause right there.
Uh-huh.
And what he's saying by that is you have between the time where you recognize and pull over with those blue lights behind you, you have ample amount of time at that point to get all of your documents. You already know what they're going to ask you for. So why not have them readily available instead of waiting until the officer who might be on guard based on the unknown, wait until he get to the window to reach.
I'm not doing
You
it.
can get that. You can get those documents and have them in your hands while your hands are on the
You
steering
should know
wheel.
what those are before you even pulled away from the
Exactly.
house.
Even if you're driving somebody else's car, you need to.
Correct.
they need to
Because
tell
with a
you
lot
those
of the
things.
young people, they're driving mom, dad's car. They don't know that the insurance, most of us don't know when your insurance is expired, your tags expired.
Right.
But before, you need to know the status of that car. Because
Absolutely.
if your brother car was involved in something and you don't know, and then it's 4 officers pulling you
They
over,
doing a felony
there's a
stop on you.
reason.
Yep.
Right. There's a reason behind the abundance of officers.
Right.
You saying, I ain't didn't know what's going on.
But you don't know if somebody had just committed a crime in the same color car.
Yeah,
That's
that's
different.
not
wrong.
Right. You
With
don't know
tinted
that.
windows,
Yeah, now
Just
that's
rob
somebody.
somebody.
But I
Keep
treat
going, Reese.
I treat all of those things that I've learned from them as if I wouldn't do anything to a police officer that I wouldn't do to my mama or my big mama. I'm not doing it. So can I record? Big mama, can I record you? Yeah, baby, but don't put that phone in my face. That's just a sign of respect. I want respect given. I gotta
I'm
give it
recording
first.
you. I'm
Right.
recording.
With the
Nobody would
flash.
like that, right?
With the
If
flash.
you come up to, if the officer comes up to the car and they giving a bad attitude, I don't have to reciprocate that because I don't want to escalate it. Now, somebody on this is watching right now, they're gonna go, I shouldn't have to do all that. They the police, they should treat me with respect. In real life, it don't work like that. You done got into an argument with your girlfriend before. Right now, you probably argued with her last night. But guess what? Reality is it happens. So the reality of it is, what are you going to reciprocate and keep going? You going to escalate it? No, I'm not going to do that because I'm smarter than that. I'm not going to let my emotions trick me off the street, right? So if I get pulled over, it's yes, sir, no, sir, whatever, ma'am. And I'm going to be the most cordial person you can meet. Will I be cursing in my head? Absolutely. Will I be taking down every single note in my head so I can tell my attorney? Absolutely. And I'm going to report you to your supervisor. And I'm going to make a complaint. And I'm going to hit NAACP if I need to. And I'm going to get your job. But you don't know any of that until after this traffic stop. I can't do none of that shot.
And you won't know it if you didn't make it home.
Right, exactly.
And that's
point
part,
blank.
that's part of the complaint. What we and explaining people the complaint process, because it's just like allowing an uncle that has molested somebody in the family. A lot of times, everybody knows, oh, get him away from Junior, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we know that, why are you not saying anything? Because you're allowing that person to victimize twice. Right. But did that officer truly violate, or are you just hurt because he right or whatever it is? Were you dead wrong? Right. Did they pull you over with rightfully so? You just didn't like the fact that it was you. Right. Because most of the time when you pull people over, they're gonna say, "Damn, big dog, you ain't got nothing better to do." You my better to do. Right. At that time, whatever reason I pulled you over, I have to have probable cause to pull you over. Right.
And help me do my job easier as a police officer. And that's what we
kill them with kindness. Usually
well,
if sometimes it's just like in life. Yeah. If we go to the drive-thru at McDonald's right now and somebody has an attitude, right? Are you gonna check them at the mic, or you like, oh, I can't wait till I get up to that window, right? Right. But that's what I'm getting at. A lot of people will get up to the window and be like, they ready to get at them, and that's the person making your food. And it's the same thing as a cop. I'm not asking you to kiss my butt or anything of the sort. But if you giving piss poor energy, it's gonna make, as you can see, I'm happy. I'm happy to be alive.
Yes.
But it can change very quickly. You know what I'm saying? On who I'm dealing with. Right. Like, if you giving me poor attitude, it's gonna be like,
it's gonna rub off.
And then if the police officers do see you moving in the car, like you said, if he comes up to the car and say, "I saw you moving around in your car," well, I was told by my parents that you're gonna need my stuff, so I was just reaching there to get the registration. I was reaching there to get my driver's license or whatsoever. That's why I'm moving in here, and here's what you need. Right. And see, the thing about it is, you have to be very careful in your choices of words when a police officer is talking to you. I always tell people, shut it up. You tell me what you want. Amen. I'll give you what you want. Now, that another question gonna say, where you going, where you coming from? This is your choice if you decide to do that. But when it's time to get inside that car and you have everything that you're supposed to have, driver's license, insurance, and they want to get inside your car, you have a choice to be made. Yes or no.
Yeah.
And most of the time frame, I've been stopped and they asked about getting in my car. I said no. You got what you wanted. You tell me what you pulled me over for. I gave you what you wanted. Right. And that's it. I don't have nothing else to say to you. You're gonna write me a ticket, write me my ticket, and come on back in so we can go and you can have go where you're going and I can go where I'm going. Right. Now, they're gonna think it's attitude, but you don't have to say it so abruptly. Right. That's it, officer. Here's you. This is what you need. I've given you everything that you need. I have been instructed by my attorney not to let you in this car. And if you want to get in here, you need a warrant. And put it on them. If they want to bring, I'm gonna bring the dogs out. Well, so be it. Bring the dogs out. Right. Because I say once this is over with, just go ahead. You got to answer that because when a supervisor has to come, then you can request a supervisor. Well, I'm feeling like I'm not here. I'm requesting a supervisor. Or when he walks back to that car, you pick up the phone and dial 911 and say, "Hey, I got a police officer out here making a traffic stop on me, and I'm requesting a supervisor. I don't know if he's going to send one or not, but that officer's here, and they're going to probably ask you where you at, and they're going to verify that." Right. So you do everything that you can, because what we want you to say, we want you to get home safe. We want him to get home safe, but sometimes you got to check an officer. And sometimes there's a fact check on him that he knows he can't do that to everybody,
Right.
especially people in the community that he's working in. So if you do him that way, you will have him check himself, because a lot of times when you go to that level, they got to think, damn, is a K9 unit going to be available? Dang, I got to have a supervisor to be called. Man,
It's
then
too much.
it's too much. So a lot of times they'll be like, sir, I'm going to go ahead and give you this citation. You're going about your day. And you still, if you feel not too correct, make that complaint.
Amen. See, I got pulled over in Brookfield too, y'all. Tell you real quick about my story.
Brookfield.
We're not going through
Where's
Brookfield.
Brookfield?
Where
I had
the
a
hell is
friend from
Brookfield?
The reason I said Brook, I had a friend from college who's from Brookfield.
Oh,
that's
okay.
kind of my-
Well, she got pulled over in Brookfield. Had
Okay.
4 police
And I
officers
used to work in
pull her over because of her tinted windows. I don't know what
What
we're
you
gonna
do,
talk about the
LaChelle?
tints. Well, someone has stole my plates off of the back of my car.
And
So
you
I'm just
didn't know.
coming from work. You know, I'm a mom, just working.
Right.
And
I
so
love
the
you.
young black male officer pulled me over, and I'm telling you, I killed him with kindness. And I, just show love and show respect. I don't have time for nothing else. And honestly, I ain't got nothing else in me. So, you know what this officer did? He went to his vehicle, got his tools, and took my plates off himself and put it on the back so that I wouldn't get pulled over again. There are some good officers out here,
Correct.
and they're also human. I promise how you treat them is going to depict how the situation goes.
Correct. In a lot of situations. And so for
I know
me,
they let you go too, girl, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
we took when I first moved back to St. Louis in Ferguson, me and Donnie Walters, that's where I met him at implicit bias training in Ferguson. And basically what it taught was everybody has bias.
Yes, sir.
But as a police officer, you're not allowed to police off of that said bias. And some officers are biased. It's a natural instinct. You know what I'm saying? But you can't push that off on people. And so that's one thing that we do with Clippers and Cops, is just trying to show that there are some cops that are normal, human.
That's the
that-
only way you can combat it.
That's it. We're not saying Clippers and Cops. You do Clippers and Cops, and this is the end all, and everything is gonna go. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying every cop is right, but we're not saying every cop is wrong either. A lot of times people think just because the loudest voice in the room means that the cop is wrong. And it's like, no, that doesn't mean that. That's why it's usually what we would say is wait till all the facts come out. And then a lot of times when all the facts come out, you don't hear the rebuttal from the people then like, oh, we sorry. It's like, oh, well, so
That was just
that
situation,
it
but
was
on-
what.
on to the
Yeah.
next program based
Well,
on all-
I know you had said you want to know, where's Miss Ruck at, Miss Tanine?
Yes.
We need a itinerary, because so these people will know
Yes, that's
where
what
we gonna be at, where they can come to. So I know some places they can't come to because it's school and they won't let you in, but there's some places that they can come that we want the people to know today. I mean tomorrow and Saturday.
Looks like you'll be
Friday.
Tomorrow and Friday.
Tomorrow and Friday.
So
Correct.
tomorrow, do you have it, sweetie? I said,
No,
yeah.
So
So we're tomorrow, we're at Safe and Sound 4422 West Leon Terrace from 5 to 6:30. They will do the whole Clippers and Cop presentation. So make sure you guys come out 5 to 6:30, 4422 West Leon Terrace. And then Friday, they will be doing a panel discussion. So you'll have Atlanta Finest meeting MPDs, police officers at Ephesians Church. And don't shoot me, Milwaukee, because I can't think of the address off the top of my head. I know it's 20-something North 6th Street. It's on the flyer. But if you know,
2412 North 6th Street.
yeah, we got
Ephesians
2412
Church.
North 2412, right?
Yes,
North
ma'am.
6th Street.
Yep.
So Ephesians Missionary Baptist Church, if you live in Milwaukee, you know where that is, in District 6. So come out to the panel from 12 o'clock to 1:30. It is going to be a lunch and learn. There will be lunch provided with refreshments for a little while. So get there first.
Love it.
Get there first. That's all I'm going to tell you. Come at 12 on the dot and you might get lunch, right? Otherwise, just come hear word, okay?
I love it.
And then Friday night, we will be at Safe and Sound again from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So parents, this is going to be your last push to get school supplies before the school year start, because we start on Tuesday. Let's send our kids off in style.
Love it.
Let's have them have a good year, because y'all know sometimes kids freak out when they don't have like the right pencil, the right eraser. So we want to make sure we assist with that as well. So
I
that's going to
love
be
it.
at Safe and Sound 4422
I love
West Leon Terrace.
Love it. Thank you so much, Tanin. You and Arletta are doing so many great things for our community. So I appreciate y'all putting this together and bringing this greatness to Milwaukee. We love it. And I see that it's going to continue to grow. One final question. I actually have someone that may have a couple of questions for you guys too. The beautiful Savannah.
Hey, Savannah.
But one question from me.
Talking about y'all. So she's going to bring her son tomorrow while y'all
Yes.
all in our midst.
Jermaine, make sure you come out
son is,
too, my
17,
man.
So I'm going to bring my son too. 17 years old, young
Huh?
black male. Yes.
Let's say
Oh,
Jermaine.
Jermaine.
Okay.
Oh, Jermaine.
It could be. I don't
Elaine
know.
Thomas.
Bring your little brother. He said his little brother needs somebody to talk to. Bring him. We'll talk to him too.
Love it. But I see, the progression over the 6 years, and like you said, campus invasion, you didn't start that right away. So that was a branch of what you've already done with Clippers and Cops. So what do you see it? What's your vision?
The vision.
The end, what's your vision for what's if it hasn't happened? You know what I'm saying? We ain't got there yet. But what's the
Manifestation is
goal?
real.
Yes, it
All right.
is.
And like I said, this started on my couch eating a bag of Doritos.
Amen.
My
Thank you,
long
Lord.
term, no, I don't. I eat cheese Doritos with French onion dip. So don't judge.
We at the barbecue, y'all. Go
Right.
ahead.
So my vision long term is for us to do a full tour from state to state. It's the same problem that you guys are talking about here in Milwaukee. We have in St. Louis, Atlanta, and all major cities. And so my goal is for us to literally come into a city on a Tuesday, Wednesday, 2 schools. We can go we go from high school to elementary. We have basically presentations for either high school, middle, or elementary. One school in the morning, we got to eat, and then another school in the afternoon. Thursday, a college or more older adults, because a lot of college kids that's criminal justice majors and stuff, they think they know everything, and it's almost like they need to have this back and forth to have an understanding of the profession. That's in the afternoon. Thursday in that afternoon is the barbershop. That's our mainstay.
Right.
Usually that's how you get the pulse of the community. Right. And so we would want to go to a community, and we want to partner with the police in that city to be able, because it's just like here. We're coming in somebody else's backyard, and after we're gone, we need to pass the torch. But we don't want anybody just doing our program, because one cynical officer can ruin everything that we just started.
Right.
Friday, go to the police academy or the police station and basically train the trainers, show them what they just experienced so that they can do that. And then on Saturday, a picnic with the community. Just like you said, at the barbecue, that's when y'all really get to interact, and you learn that we have more in common than we do differently.
Right.
And that's how you build community and community between law enforcement. Right. Sunday, we want professional sports. Let's go to a game together. Okay. Where we at the game watching the game. I didn't know you like the Steelers. Me too. Hey, right. You know what I'm saying? That's how you build those things. So long after you grow from that, when there's an incident, you have allies. Like I said earlier on the Tory Lowe show, the streets talk.
Yeah.
But you got to know how to hear it and receive it and understand that people are putting their lives on the line to talk and tell you this information. And you cultivate that. Over the years, you've been dealing with Miss Pearly for 20 years.
Not Miss Pearly.
I'm just saying. But she's comfortable in helping, because guess what? People in the community don't want the stuff happening in their community either. But most people, we're taught to mind our own business. And so as you're taught that, it makes you be like, well, I know what happened, but I ain't saying that until it hits your house. And so that's my vision of the program. I already have someone. So now we're in Atlanta, St. Louis. My buddy in Memphis does it, and my buddy in Dallas is doing it. And so it's spreading like wildfire. And after the story aired, I had an officer from LAPD call. Like, we got people calling from all over.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Thank you so much. For that.
Clippersandcops.org, all
Yes.
the social media platforms.
Yes.
Follow us.
And I said, y'all are dropping seeds. Y'all are dropping
Mm.
seeds, and my personal belief, Whether y'all know it or not, you're saving our kids' lives.
A
By
lady,
trying.
a lady
You
told us
are.
that one night after Clippers and Cop, a lady she called, and she literally had me in tears because she was like, "You don't even realize the impact of what you're doing
Yes.
and the information that you're sharing. That if you save one life,
Yes.
that's
enough.
That's enough." And so I know we see kids again
Yeah.
years later, and they remember us, or they'll say different things that you said to them
See 'em in the
years
grocery
ago.
store.
And you're like, or you go through the drive-through at some of the places, and they're like, Clippers and Cop. Hey, I remember what you said. I wrote my goals down here. You know what I'm saying?
We
So-
actually live in the community that, you know, some of these schools, like I live on the south side, and I see them. I don't know if y'all have Publix here, but that's our shopping center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I see kids and they be like, I don't remember them, but I remember you. You spoke to me at such and such high school. And I'm like, oh, wow. So they remember. They're listening.
It's a
And
good
like I
feeling.
said, it's a transformation from how they walk in there and how they leave. Because you'll see
Deposit.
You'll see some that the teachers has to literally drag in there, and then at the end of it, they're
even
willing to
leave.
stay 15 to an hour later with
Or
us.
they're asking,
y'all
when are we
leaving?
coming back?
Yeah, when y'all coming back? Are y'all only coming back one more time?
And you
Like,
can
yeah,
we come
you
in
can
the
see it.
They're craving.
And then
Yeah.
it's crazy because like a lot of these kids play sports, and it's like y'all got to come to our games. Like it's like we got so much that these kids wants us to do. We
God,
man.
we got a kid that was in the class.
Westlake
What's that?
play
Pancake.
Westlake
Yeah.
play
Yeah, we got
what's the
Pancake.
name?
Oh, Friday night?
They it's coming up. Westlake play
Banneker?
no, we're the faraway school we just went to.
Gainesville.
They play Gainesville.
Oh, wow.
And Langston Hughes plays Douglas County. Them about to be
We
some
gotta go see
huge
Pancake.
games.
I know.
He about to be some huge games.
Well, just being around y'all energy, honestly, it don't matter what y'all talking about. I'll be there. So it don't matter what y'all
Simone,
talking
can we come to the cookout now?
Hey. So I just want to thank y'all for being here. Is there any final words that y'all want to give to the Shine Your Light audience at
Just
all? Y'all out here shining.
Follow us, donate if you can. ClippersandCops.org. We're on all social media platforms.
Love it. Get it
YouTube,
posted.
you can go look at old videos of old sessions and different things that we've done, or just Google Clippers and Cops. We don't just talk about it, we be about it, and we put in the work. We're not just sitting there running. This ain't just a show that we putting on for y'all. This is what we
Their
do.
soul is in this. You can feel
That's
it
it, yeah.
because they don't have to do this, y'all. I promise you. They
And
do not. They
I
could be
would-
golfing right now. He retired. He ain't got to
I
do
would
this.
just
ain't
like
really
I would like to
retired.
encourage people.
Broke
Semi.
people,
Go ahead,
broke
sir.
people retire.
Well,
Go
some
ahead, sir.
people are just totally in the wrong day.
Look at this guy. This is the most interesting man alive.
No, I do a lot of traveling. And I think this is one thing that you have to do is I tell everybody also venture out as well.
Yes.
That's the key thing. You got to venture out and see other cultures.
Right.
So that it will let you know that
Gotta
you
have
in this
money.
community, there's more outside of this community than
Yes.
what you see. And when you in places like Atlanta, we don't have some of the problems. We have problems.
Right.
We don't have some of the
Different
problems. They're
problems.
different problems than y'all have here because he was talking about two different units, a black unit, a white unit. All our unions there are the same.
Right.
You know,
Black, yeah.
we all can go to the same unit, but in certain areas,
St. Louis.
we figure out in certain areas that we come into what we are not like someone privy to is seeing that inside of those departments, there's division. That's so you got to understand, just like sometime in your own household, there's division in the house
Right.
between family members. So how do you bring them together? Sometimes it's hard, but eventually you have to have that empathy with inside of that community. And we're just here to give you our source, and it's going to take some time to get in there to get it. Because if the weed is there,
Right.
you just got to get it out, and then
It's
eventually
shining.
it's going to shine. The grass is going to be green, and
Said it.
everybody's going to hopefully be happy.
And it's coming. He just spoke it into existence.
Yeah, I just want to give a charge to the men and women, the grown men and women that have a testimony. Based on my charge, I feel like I came from a situation where I seen a lot of negativity, and I felt like I had the responsibility to reach back and speak to the kids that's experiencing some of the things that I grew up and experienced, and some of the things that I grew up and overcame. when you can present that information to these kids, no matter if it's in a barbershop, in a radio setting, on a corner, talk to these kids, because you never know what you can be saving them from. A lot of the kids succumb to that negativity that he grew up around. So when you can show them that you are a success story coming from that environment, it's important for them to hear that. You know, you never know what type of hope you're giving somebody that was previously hopeless. So don't be hesitant in, giving back.
They need to see it.
Yes, absolutely.
Because a lot of them don't have that, and I hate to say it, a lot of them don't have that in their parents or the family members around them. So sometimes, and because they don't get outside of Milwaukee, they don't get outside of just their neighborhoods, they wouldn't see it if it wasn't y'all showing it to them.
Nah, you're
How
right.
much effort it takes for y'all to do that, though.
But
You know what
it's
I'm
really,
saying?
if it comes from your heart, you don't even look at it that way. It's
But
just something that you just feel in your spirit
Yeah,
that you just need to pour out,
yeah.
because you don't want kids to go down that path, because it's important. You can't wait until they're 15.
Did somebody do it for you?
No, unfortunately, no, they didn't. But I was, thanks be to God, I was able to use my environment to teach me what not to do.
Here we go.
Like it was a lot of drugs and things of that nature, like in my house.
Yeah.
Sometimes
we become, when we get older, by the grace of God, what we needed.
Right. I mean, I saw
Yeah.
the cycle. I
Yeah.
saw how, the dope boys and dope girls end up being the fiend.
Yeah.
And I saw the process of, it starting with marijuana to putting a little coke in there, marijuana to doing outright coke.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, you got people that you went to high school with asking you for 50 cents, and they just straight sprung out,
Right.
So I was able to process that different than a lot of other people.
A lot of
And I
that
knew that's
happened
not
due
what
to
I wanted.
ignorance. A lot of it happened due to ignorance. They got addicted to something,
Well, I think
they
people,
become sick, but they weren't looking at it like that.
I think
initially
people
when it
just,
first
I think
started.
people operate off of the mindset that it can't be me.
Right.
When
I can
you're
stop
a
anytime.
teenager or you're a young adult and you look at a crackhead in your neighborhood,
Right.
you're not ever thinking that my bad habits can turn me into that. And that's what you have to sometimes break down that process of how they got there, or pull them to the side and have a conversation with them, because
y'all-
they're not all idiots.
Do y'all
like-
speak about addiction in these?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Snowball.
Absolutely.
We show him Snowball.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We call it a
Snowball
gateway drug.
series.
The series.
Okay.
We showing how he was
Because a
on
lot
top
of the
as a-
crime
uh-huh.
is
Yes,
a result of that. A lot of those erratic behaviors.
Weed is
is
absolutely a
is a
gateway
result
drug.
of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't believe it till they see it. And this is Todd. You still have? I still have.
Oh, yeah.
But look, so
I know.
listen,
we,
I
we
haven't
wrapping
even,
up, Ty. I know.
I haven't
I know.
even told them this. So this happened not too
Yes,
long
sir.
ago. One of the attorneys, like Todd said, I
Are we
have a
gonna cry?
nonprofit too. Nah, bro, I don't know. We are nonprofit too, Positive American Youth, right? So we in front of a lot of kids. So sometimes because we do a lot with Clippers of Cops, the messages get interfused, which is a positive thing, right?
Yes, sir.
So our attorney, who's on the board of Positive American Youth, does a lot of defense cases. He just came by just to talk to us, and he was like, oh man, keep doing what you're doing. I never know what he's talking about because he
Yeah.
says it a lot. He was like, nah, I was in court the other day. It's not my case. I'm in the back of the courtroom waiting for my case. A kid is up in front of the judge and says, nah, the recent of them had came to my school and they said this is in the third, and he came with a whole bunch of cops, and we thought it was gonna be crazy, but then they told us we could do whatever we want to do and this and that, and then they sat and talked with us afterwards, and it was just real inspiring. The judge took his probation off, didn't give him no jail time, all because of this program and programs like this around the country, changing lives. And you don't know the impact you have. And now he couldn't have made that up just to come by and say, hey, don't stop what you're doing. And I asked him what did he mean. He wasn't going to elaborate. He was like, nah, you brought a bunch of cops to a school or something. I said, nah, I didn't. I was with them. I was just part of a bigger situation. And because of that, this kid is not going to jail. This kid is not going to RYDC. This kid is not getting a record. This kid now has an outlook on life and has a different perspective. And it's because of what y'all are doing. So I just want to salute y'all in front of everybody.
Yes, salute. Yes, there we go.
I ain't gonna cry.
Dropping positive seeds.
No,
There's a hand clap in there somewhere.
I just want to say real quick before we go,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for having us. But I think just some simple concepts that I've always believed in is that instead of calling somebody out, call them up.
There we go.
Oh,
There we
and
go.
instead of pushing somebody away, pull them in.
There we go.
And I think if we live by that, we could see a lot of change and a lot of progress. But I think the biggest thing is just don't be afraid of the unknown. Get out of your comfort zone. That goes for everybody.
Yes, I love that.
Because
And
beautiful
partner
things
with
can
good
happen.
people.
So.
I know what else to call you.
Nobody knows how to run
But
And
next time
thank
we bring
you.
a light skinned Mike, and then it's
There we
gonna throw
go.
everything.
There we go.
And we trying to post on the
'Cause they
live chat
basically
too,
the
like
same
the
color.
website and everything, so everybody can see it. But I ain't see it popping up for whatever reason. But hopefully, it's up there. So we trying to post the website and everything.
Okay,
because I know
I'm gonna make sure it gets posted by our producer.
Clippersandcops.org.
Clippersandcops.org. I got you.
Posting the address and all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do my job.
And I just want to say, Mike, we need you in our neighborhoods as that representation for those good hearts with different color skin. So, we need that. So I thank you.
Whoa, don't go too far, buddy.
He put it up there.
Oh, for sure. Appreciate it.
Okay, you do it. Go ahead. You have any last words?
Curry.
No.
You already had.
Kim?
My last words is, of course, thank you guys
Thank
for
you, Queen.
hosting us, having us here, and I just want to remind everybody that a lot of times, people like myself get into law enforcement because we love people. We do it because we want to help people. We don't just get into law enforcement to see people go to jail or get arrested. We're the ones who's there when they get shot, when they get stabbed, when their car is broken into, when their house is broken into. We're there. We're getting them an ambulance. We're getting them, to Grady Hospital or whatever hospital it is. So I think that if people looked at us as humans outside of what we do, that, most of us care.
Right.
And to get that relationship to the point that where we're trying to get it is if you look at that person wearing a uniform and see him as a human being and see that maybe he did join the force because he want to help me.
Right.
And, extend that olive branch or that hand, reach that hand out to actually introduce yourself and, you might make a friend like we did with
Yes, sir.
these guys.
Yes, sir.
Like Ruben, Ruben got a whole nother
Oh,
story.
we should have brought.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Y'all
got a
need
whole
to meet him
nother.
up, but we
Yeah,
gonna save that one for the
yeah. So you never know how you're gonna come about
Yeah.
being friends with people. I have a friend that when me and Ty both we met this lady whose son got shot 15 times, something like that. And ever since that case, we have been like the best of friends because she felt like, we did so much
Yeah.
to help her family.
Yeah.
And she'll never forget us. And then she's making sure we never forget her because
She
she's in my life now.
Right.
So you got to look at what we do is bigger than all of us. And if anybody can, realize that we're put here for a purpose,
Yes.
even the good and the bad,
Yes.
like that lady, Sonia Massey, she rebuked that guy in the name of Jesus.
And that devil
Right.
coming out.
Right. So that was big. That was big. She's not here, but we all know, that was the devil.
Yeah.
That was Satan himself. So
And she was an angel because she stopped it from happening to somebody else.
she did. She did. So
Yeah.
those are my parting.
I ain't think of that.
Yeah, those are my parting words. And
Do you
again, thank you
have-
guys.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have any advice for our ladies out there? If they get in these type of situations or what they can do to help themselves to not be in these type of,
Yes.
negative situations with the cop?
With a cop or with
Anything, whether it be going down the wrong path.
yes. I always give the story of how I worked the gang unit for 15 years and I do come across females that get
The accent came out.
Right.
Right.
they get sidetracked or they get caught up in that life of, want to be, out in the streets or what they see or they think is, popping at the time. And then next thing you know, they might have a couple of kids at home, but they're going to prison for 15 years because they feel like, I was just being cool. I was trying to be that down chick or have this dude's back. When, we try to tell them that your kids are more important
Yes.
than this man that you don't even, that they're not even the father sometimes, that they're trying to
You out there educating.
have their back. Yeah. So we have to educate these females on making good decisions.
All money ain't good money.
Whenever I talk to the kids at school, I tell them about how I was a teenage mom and how I overcame that situation. Right.
Yes.
And how my daughter, she didn't become a teenage mom. She owns her own business now. And how, we broke that generational curse. And it can happen, but you gotta want it,
Right.
and
And it's
like
not
you
gonna
said,
happen on its own.
right.
You gotta
So it's hard for females because they sometimes they feel like they have to prove something, or they try to fit in, or peer pressure, or what have you, and they're trying to live up to want that guy to like them and that kind of stuff. But you got to love yourself first, and that's what a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't. Yeah, a lot of them don't realize that, and that's why we're here to get that message to them. That that they can be great, and they don't need a man to be great.
There you go, amen, hallelujah.
Amen. I get on my daughter all the time, like, you gotta pay your own bills. You don't need,
Single and celibate over here, so we understand. We're team single and celibate over here, so we understand.
I'm happy.
Jesus. But thank you for being. Thank you for being such a the representation that we need for women.
Right.
Last question, I promise y'all, because this is for me gonna be the most powerful point. Do y'all offer your personal testimonies at these speaking engagements?
I go.
Not just I'm telling you, that's
Listen.
what's needed.
Yeah,
They
we all
need to
do.
see themselves in you.
Because
as
we
a
only
woman.
gave y'all snippets.
Like, dang, that's me right now.
We only gave y'all snippets.
I know. I already know.
Yeah,
That's what this is.
is.
The Shine Your Light podcast. We discuss testimonies on this show.
The
So
moment I go, the first thing I do is tell what Clippers and Cops, because a lot of people don't. They like, what y'all cut here? And then
right, I said Clippers and Cuts, Lord.
everybody does. They say Cops and Clippers and Cuts, whatever.
Yes, Lord.
Which is, we understand it. When I joke with you back
Yes.
and forth, it is what it is.
Yes.
To me, it sounds like, because that's the name. But in the presentation, I basically tell my testimony of getting expelled from, like, I was getting Division I offers about to go to college. I got expelled 43 days in March of my senior year.
Okay.
From that, I had to finish up at long-term suspension. I got escorted to my seat at graduation. Before we took the cap and gowns out, I got escorted out.
Oh, Lord.
From that, I ended up at a community college.
Okay.
The crazy part about it is a lady at our church, I didn't even go to church. My mom went to church.
Okay.
She was like, your son going to college, I want to meet him. She said, what you majoring in? I'm like, I don't know, business. I'm going to hoop. Like,
Right.
get out of here.
Right.
She's like, son, you're going to work for the next 40 years. What are you going to do? And that's what got me into criminal justice, law enforcement. I looked in the course catalog, and then I saw criminal justice. I'm like, well, I know crime.
Right.
I'm going to do this. Well, when I got to college, I was the only Black student in the major.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, we have voluntary desegregation, where I got bused to Brickfield or wherever. I lived in the worst part, but I went to school in the suburbs.
Right.
So I got 2 educations every day. My professor would then call on me like, hey, Mr. Dennis. I didn't even know I had just got this awesome education. College was easier than high school for me. One day my professor comes. He said, what are you trying to do with your degree? I'm like, I don't know. He said, you ever thought about going in the FBI? At the time, I'm like, the feds never. He started bringing me pamphlets about the FBI. I got my associates in criminal justice and then transferred and got my bachelor's in criminal justice and sociology. But I also got caught with a stolen car. And I share all of that.
Right.
I had to disconnect, cut the cord on me to the hood, my hood, because my friends back home still were doing some of the same stuff. One of my friends got out of the feds, contacted me. 2 things he gave. He said, 1, I'm living through you. I'm like, what you mean you living through me? He said, because you come from the same environment I did, and you did something totally different than everybody else. Secondly, my other friend said, hey, man, you the guy that was courtside at the game that never checked in. I said, dang, that is true. I can tell you everything. I knew everything about gangs because that's why I grew up. I can tell you how to cook, crack, cook hair, all that good stuff, right? Because that's what I was around.
It made you a better cop, but go ahead.
Oh man,
I already know.
that's
It's a whole other story though.
it ain't even. It just makes me think different.
Right.
It makes me deal different. It makes me empathize with it. Just because you're in, everybody in the hood is not a crook or a criminal.
Right.
That's where you chose to stay. That's where your mama, that's where your grandmama stay. That's where you stay.
Right.
That doesn't make you a criminal. Even when I was in training back in St. Louis, when I was with other cops, when I said, I grew up on the Hold of My Tracks. They said, oh my God, what was you doing over there? What you mean? That's where I was from. You know what I'm saying? But the moment that you share a story about yourself, those kids instantly gravitate to each one of us in here gets up and tell a different story. Curry has a different story. She got a different story. What that's the whole thing is that we didn't wake most adults. It goes back to what I said earlier. Most adults wake up and forget that you were once that kid. Like now they like, ooh, Sexy Red is dirty. Y'all used to do the same shit.
I say that.
Want it on that video?
That's why they didn't want the Freaknik video to come out.
I
And so that's why we're trying to sell it to show the kids that we didn't wake up like this, but through proper planning and goal setting, you can get on the right track to success as well. This didn't happen overnight. If you'd have asked me 25 years ago, whatever, I probably would have told you this. I would have never thought it. But it goes back to what you said. God put me, them, and all of us in this position for a reason. You know what I'm saying? My goal was to save one life when I became a cop. It ain't no telling how many lives we done touched through our words and just being selfless and providing ourselves to the community. When he talk about Caden and making me cry, it's because I never saw that coming. When I met him, I'm like, all right, we got one, but
It's a project. It's a project.
But to see it work in within a year, that's powerful.
And that's just the one you saw.
So when he posted the story, you can go on his TikTok. He got his friends following him. You know what I'm saying? They dropped the charges not only on him, they dropped them on his two co-defendants too.
Three co-defendants.
Right? And so he has a testimony now that we don't have to say nothing. He speaks for himself, and that spreads, and that shows that it's possible. Like you can change, but it's going to take work. All we did was spread water on the seed. But he that boy said.
Okay. Drop the mic. Drop the mic, Ty. And with that being said, thank you for coming to the Shine Your Light podcast. I want to thank you all once again for joining us on the Shine Your Light podcast. You're all shining your light in the community, and we sincerely thank you for it. You are saving lives. I personally believe that is one life, the story of Caden that got presented to you, but I believe there are so many more that you don't even know that you impacted, you know, that exactly. And I just thank y'all. I thank y'all for it. And I thank y'all for not just staying in Atlanta and coming to Milwaukee. When I told you I had some controversial questions when y'all came the first time, I ain't getting none this time.
We welcome it. We welcome them to come see because our work like I said earlier, this ain't no act. Right. This ain't no gimmick. Right. This ain't us tap dancing.
Just your presence. Your presence is healing to the community. Yes, and we thank you for it. Beautiful Simone. Anything else? We gotta let them go.
She gotta cook. She said that we coming to the
cookout. We're gonna be here all weekend.
No, just thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. I'm a really, really, really big advocate. I'm making sure that you shine your light no matter where you are. You don't always have to be in the church building. Y'all know we say that all the time. You do not have to be in the church building to save somebody's life. You don't got to be in the church building to make sure that somebody gets a new life or to introduce somebody to God. So I feel like you guys are doing a major step with getting to the community. Jesus was in the community, y'all. He was walking around. He healed people on the street. So just being able to see people who are out, who are out in the community, who are helping our people, who are educating our people, and who are letting them know that there is a second chance. There's a different path that you can take. I just really appreciate y'all for that.
Real quick to Arletta. Arletta is clippersandcops.org, not .com.
It's up there.
Yeah, Tyrone J. Dennis on Instagram.
So another thing is that you talk about putting your voices out. I'm also part of an organization. We do. We just actually came out with our second volume, Our Shades of Black History. I think it's so important that we talk about our history. And sometimes we think our story shouldn't be told, but it definitely can be told. And we told because we have short, maybe 10, 12 pages of someone's story. So it's called Our Shades of Black History. You can Amazon, they got a volume 2 out now. And we're looking for authors who actually want to put their story in the book. We're waiting on Ty. He's slow poking around. So I'm gonna put him on the spot today here, you know, to go out there, yeah, and put it in writing.
I'm busy now.
So because your word needs to be heard. You know, they talk about taking our books out of the school. But these are things that you can have, that you can push out to your people. You an author. And it's easier than you think. You just have to take the time out to put the words down. And there are people that will put it in the way that it will make it resonate to people. So that is very, very important. So, you know, when we talk about certain things, our history matter. Yes. We matter as people as us. Because like we said, regardless of it, we in a car driving or walking down the street, we're still Black. Amen. We can't change that, but we want to be treated the same way as you treat your mother, your father, if you would saw them. And we want that same empathy. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Amen. Thank y'all for being a part of the change. Anyone listening to this podcast, I hope you make a decision, y'all. You're a collective of your decisions. I hope you decide to be a part of the change too. All right. And partner with some great people, whether it's via donations or just coming out support, asking questions. Bring those teenagers, please. Anything else, beautiful Simone? All right. Thank y'all for joining us on the Shine Your Light podcast. Until next time, see you guys. Blessings.